Hi, I am Narsingh Saxena, a scientist turned management consultant and now a scholar of Vedic philosophy. Welcome to my channel, Life and the Vedas. In today's talk session, I will continue further on our topic, Unraveling Life's Mysteries through Vedas. As mentioned earlier, it is explained through 7 articles. Today, I am going to talk about the third article in the series, Cosmic Consciousness. If you are new to the term Vedas, these are ancient texts that belong to the classical era of India. They provide a wealth of knowledge about life and explain its various aspects. The concept of cosmic consciousness is central to the Vedic philosophy. It is known as Brahm, commonly spelled as Brahman. I prefer Brahm since it is closer to its actual pronunciation in Sanskrit. Everything else revolves around Brahm. Vedas declare that there is only one ultimate reality. As Chandogya Upanishad puts it, Brahm is one without a second. This reality is the absolute truth, which means that it exists eternally and is unchanging, as declared by Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, which states the eternal, luminous, immortal, and fearless Brahm should be realized and meditated upon. This reality exists in the form of a consciousness of cosmic proportions, as declared by Aitareya Upanishad, which says, consciousness is Brahm, and Chandogya Upanishad, which states, Brahm is truth, knowledge, and infinite. Knowledge here implies the consciousness which stores it. This consciousness is infinite, meaning that it is of universal or cosmic proportions. This reality creates the universe as stated by Yajurveda, which mentions Brahm is the supreme reality, the substratum of the universe, and the source of all creation. Brahm not only creates the universe, but also runs it, as informed by Isha Upanishad, which declares, everything animate or inanimate that is within the universe is controlled and owned by Brahm. Another important feature about Brahm is that he stays on a different plane than that of the universe. Its existence is, therefore, transcendental. As Bhagavad Gita puts it, that which is beyond the physical universe and is unmanifested, eternal, and immutable is known as Brahm. Chandogya Upanishad informs that Brahm, who exists as the supreme or cosmic consciousness, is also called the supreme or cosmic soul. In Sanskrit, it is called Paramatma, also pronounced as Paramatman. Here the word Param means supreme and Atma, also pronounced as Atman, stands for soul. Thus, Paramatma is another name of Brahm. These adjectives, universal or cosmic, used to describe the supreme soul or supreme consciousness, are in fact only partially correct, since Vedas mention that there are countless universes besides ours, and all of them are controlled by this supreme consciousness. As Svetasvatara Upanishad puts it, the one who is beyond all things, who creates the many universes in his own being, is seen by the wise as seated within the heart. It is, therefore, of the order of the sum total of all those countless universes which it governs. These adjectives are thus only symbolic. Vedas further assert that Brahm or cosmic consciousness is all-knowing, all-pervading, and is endowed with infinite energy through which it functions. Also, it is not possible to fully understand him. As Brihadaranyaka Upanishad declares, Brahm indeed is all-knowing. It is the innermost self of all beings and the foundation of the universe. Isha Upanishad states, the all-pervading, self-existent Brahm is enveloping everything. Chandogya Upanishad mentions, this universe arises from the power of Brahm. The power of Brahm is infinite, and it pervades everything. Chandogya Upanishad also tells us that Brahm is beyond the known, and it is through direct experience, through realization, that one truly understands it. This knowledge cannot be gained through mere intellectual inquiry. Let us examine the above Vedic assertion about Brahm using the principles of science. Science tells us that the plane in which ours and other universes exist is bound by time and space and governed by the law of causation. from the moment when the universe is created to the point when it eventually gets dissolved, it follows a timeline. Apart from time, the second crucial feature of our universe is space. It is the expanse within which all the universes exist. Any object or event in the universe is located at a given point in space and at a given time. Thus, both time and space together determine its location. Next, let us talk about the law of causation. It states that behind an effect there is always a cause, and that the cause precedes the effect. For example, if we shoot an arrow from a bow, it will hit the target. So shooting of the arrow, which is the cause, will happen first on the timeline, followed by the arrow hitting the target, which is the effect. The incident of the arrow hitting the target cannot happen before we shoot it. The logic is based on these premises. Since according to Vedas, Brahm exists on a plane different from that of the universe, and so he is apparently not bound either by the time or space or the law of causation. Since time does not exist in his plane, he is timeless. He has no beginning and no end, which means that he is living eternally. In other words, he is immortal. As the space also does not exist in his plane, he has no limiting borders and so is infinite. Another thing to be noted here is that since he cannot be located due to the absence of space and time, he is everywhere. That means he is omnipresent and exists as a single entity, implying that he is indivisible. And finally, by virtue of existing in his own non-physical plane, he is transcendental for humans who live in the physical plane. Moreover, since the function of logic and inquiry lies only within the physical plane, and he is beyond that plane, it is difficult for us to understand him fully only through logic. This provides the scientific approval for all the above Vedic assertions about Brahm or cosmic consciousness. Let us now explore some other attributes of Brahm mentioned earlier using scientific principles. For example, an assertion was made that Brahm creates the universe out of himself, which means out of the cosmic consciousness, with the help of his cosmic power or Shakti. The cosmic consciousness thus permeates the entire universe, including both the animate and inanimate objects. To begin with, this assertion does not seem to be supported by science, since according to the traditional science, inanimate objects do not possess consciousness. This, however, has been proved wrong by the modern quantum physics, which has shown that subatomic particles like electrons and protons, which are the smallest constituents of matter, do not follow the laws of traditional science. These particles are also known as elementary particles. They behave randomly at will, showing that they possess consciousness, and this consciousness is found to be interconnected, since these particles display quantum entanglement, which means that the two particles created in a pair seem to have a connection. This connection is maintained even when separated from each other. This implies that the consciousness of the elementary particles is interconnected. All this shows that consciousness permeates the inanimate objects via their subatomic elementary particles, but is visible only at the micro level of these elementary particles, and so for obvious reasons it cannot be perceived by the naked eye. Thus, the above statement that Brahm permeates the entire universe consisting of animate and inanimate objects gets validated by modern science. That is why Vedas declare that Brahm is omnipresent, which means he is all-pervasive. Moreover, since our mind is also permeated by cosmic consciousness, Brahm even knows what is going on in our minds, and so he is omniscient, which means knower of everything. And since he is the bearer of the supreme power, he is all-powerful or omnipotent. According to Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, Brahm creates and runs the universe based on the law of causation mentioned earlier. For every effect there is a cause. All phenomena in nature are governed by this law. It can be further clarified through another example. We all know that when we sow a seed in the soil, a plant grows out of it. The plant will not grow without sowing of the seed. When this law applies to humans, it is called the law of karma. This law implies that every action entails its consequences. Brihadaranyaka and Chandogya Upanishads point out that a good deed results in a reward and a bad deed entails punishment, either instantly or later in life or even in our future lives. The universe functions according to this law and justice is administered to everyone. So if bad things happen to us, it is a reaction of our own past bad actions. We reap what we sow. Similarly, our happiness is a result of our previously done good deeds. Why would Brahm randomly give happiness and misery to people? One thing worth noticing is that in Vedic literature, Brahm is called Purush or cosmic male, and his energy or Shakti, which is referred to as Mula Prakriti or the primordial nature, is considered cosmic female. According to Bhagavata Purana, Purush or Brahm and Mula Prakriti or Shakti are considered as husband and wife. That is why when they together create the universe, he is called the cosmic father of the universe who gives his part to create it, then sustains and runs it like a father, and she is the cosmic mother who creates it, figuratively gives birth to it, supports it, and nurtures it by manifesting as the physical nature and providing air to breathe, water and food to survive. That is why physical nature is also referred to as Mother Nature. Here please keep in mind that Brahm and his Shakti are formless entities and have no gender. They are not even separate, which means that they together represent the same transcendental entity. It is only for the sake of making Brahm more comprehensible to human beings that Vedas have visualized it as two separate entities and humanized them as male and female, since that is how humans are classified. For the same reason, they are portrayed as husband and wife, who together produce the universe and thus become the father and mother of the universe. Bhagavata Purana also mentions that Brahm eventually destroys the entire creation with the help of his Shakti when the universe becomes dysfunctional. Everything dissolves and goes back into him. He then recreates the universe and the cycle of creation thus goes on incessantly. Further, Rig Veda informs us that Brahm uses only 1/4 of his existence for creating the universes. This part of him is called the golden egg or Hiranyagarbha. In the remaining 3/4 parts, he exists unchanged as an infinite ocean of bright light, since in his actual form of illuminated cosmic consciousness, the consciousness part is invisible, so only the bright light remains visible. Brahm is self-illuminated by his infinite energy. He also produces the transcendental sound vibrations of Om with the help of his energy. Taittiriya, Brihadaranyaka, and Chandogya Upanishads tell us that unlike the material light, which can be obstructed or extinguished, the light of Brahm is unchanging and eternal. It is the substratum upon which all transient phenomena appear and disappear. According to those advanced spiritual practitioners who had visions of the divine light, it is a still, bright, dazzling illumination that looks alive, mystical, and transcendental in nature, endowed with unimaginable opulence and grandeur. This light of Brahm, according to Brahm Sutra, has an inherent dynamic aspect, which enables it to manifest the universes while remaining unchanged itself. Considering what is told in Mandukya, Aitareya, Chandogya, and Brihadaranyaka Upanishads, the consciousness of Brahm can be understood as the supremely intelligent, all-encompassing, pure cosmic mind that contains infinite knowledge, awareness, thoughts and ideas, and the potential for all creation in its unmanifested form. All this exists as an invisible, eternal energy configuration. This consciousness of Brahm, as Taittiriya Upanishad puts it, is bestowed with the supreme willpower to translate his thoughts into action with the help of his infinite energy. Chandogya and Taittiriya Upanishads tell us that 3 words define Brahm completely. The first of these words is Sata, or the absolute truth. Since he is without a beginning or an end, he is the only entity which always exists. Rest everything in this world has only temporary existence. He, therefore, is the only truth, since he is always there. The second word is Chitta, meaning the consciousness, which is his real character, since he is essentially consciousness, which is perfect in all respects and infinite in extent. The third word is Ananda, or the perfect bliss. Let us try to figure out why Brahman is bliss. Remember that the concept of worry, pain, suffering, fear, etc. belong to the universal plane, where things are constantly changing for better or worse. The law of causation is working, delivering good and bad results of previous good or bad actions. Brahm, however, resides in a different plane, where these things are totally absent. That is why he is endowed with perfect bliss. This bliss is infused with everlasting peace, since there is nothing to disturb him in his plane. Secondly, since he exists in the ultimate desirable state, which is the final destination of every soul, he is pure, meaning without any flaws. So his bliss has purity. Thirdly, since everyone is created by him, he loves everybody and has kindness for all. Therefore, unconditional pure love and kindness are other attributes of his bliss. In simple language, it is the most desirable, out-of-this-world bliss which lasts forever and is infused with peace, love, and kindness. It is this bliss which people experience when their consciousness eventually reaches the level of the Supreme or the cosmic consciousness through spiritual progress. It is the supreme bliss or Paramananda, which is far superior even to the highest form of worldly pleasures. Moreover, it lasts forever, unlike worldly pleasures, which are only temporary. On combining these three words, Sata, Chitta, and Ananda, we get a new word, Satchidananda, which is another of Brahm's many names. You might be wondering as to how can Brahm, a formless entity, do things that require physical organs? How can he see without eyes, listen without ears, talk without mouth, work without hands, and walk without legs? To understand this, we need to keep in mind that all the sensory signals that we receive are recognized by us only when they reach our consciousness through the sensory organs of eyes, ears, and nose. To illustrate it, consider a scenario in which a man is unconscious, and so his sensory organs are disconnected from his consciousness. In this situation, he cannot hear or smell anything, even though the ears and the nose are open, since the incoming signals are not reaching his consciousness. Thus, whatever we do is actually done by our consciousness. We, however, need sensory organs to receive and send the incoming and outgoing signals, since our consciousness is attached to our physical body. As Panchdasi by Vidyaranya declares, the consciousness of Brahm is self-sufficient, and so he can receive and send any signal directly from his consciousness. For sending a signal, he converts his thoughts into action with the help of his immense willpower. Receiving is not a problem. He does not require physical attributes to perceive or be perceived, as it is beyond the dualities and limitations of the material world. Suppose he wants to say something to you or send a mental message to you. He will convert his thoughts into words of whatever language you speak and convey to you through his willpower. All the worldly knowledge is stored in his consciousness, with the help of which he creates this entire universe. So speaking whatever language you speak is not a problem for him. As regards to the work which requires the use of hands, say lifting a water bottle, he does by executing the thought through his immense willpower, and water bottle gets lifted through the invisible force behind his thought. Now for the work which requires the use of feet, like moving from one place to another, he has no difficulty, since he is everywhere. Thus, in simple words, Brahm, or the cosmic consciousness, can do anything without having a physical body. Here another thing is worth noticing. Since he is infinitely resourceful, he is capable of doing whatever he wants. If he decides to appear in a physical body, He can do that by acquiring a human body of his choosing through his willpower, wearing whatever he decides. He can then disappear at will whenever he wants. Brahm might have created a huge kingdom in his realm where he might be living as a king along with a supporting hierarchy of transcendental beings. For him, literally nothing is impossible. That's all for today. In my next article, I will be talking about the Vedic view of the origin of the universe as an extension of this article, and that's why it will be numbered 3a, since the present article is number 3 in the series. Thanks for listening.